Ukraine, it would in what that might look like in dense urban areas.
Pause it. Head home. Head back to the crib. Head to bed. Wake up in the morning. Head to school. May as well move.
What's your problem?
Lock my car. Fuck. Move. Move the fuck out of my way. Fuck. Of course. Yo. Fuck you. Let's call up a taxi. Why not? I'm in an Uber. I mean a taxi, not an Uber. Hey, I would like to go to my hood. Got it, on our way. There you go. Cool, here's the money. Hey boss, hey. Let's head to bed. 5 in the morning. Let's head out, call a taxi. Then head to school. Let's have a joint while we're waiting. Let's have a joint for the day.
There's extra miles on it.
Oh, here we are. I'd like to go back to school. Got it. There you go, here's money. Yo. Move.
What do you think you're doing?
Let's go to here. Press play, have a joint for the day.
Another quote from this unnamed
Have
official.
another joint.
Chief of Defense Staff Admiral Sir Tony Ratigan even reached out to reporters saying that this situation is, and I quote, deeply worrying. Russia waiting on the border is deeply worrying. That's the full quote. The significance of the worst scenarios in terms of a full-scale invasion would be on a scale not seen in Europe since the Second World War. That's also another quote from Sir Tony Ratigan. Thanks for your quotes. You're scaring the shit out of us. Number 4, the first step. If a full-on invasion were to take place, Cranny Evans believes that what we've seen so far is just the beginning. During a phone call with CNBC, Evans stated that Russia has deliberately built this situation in such a way that we will know when it's an invasion force. We're gonna know. He's telling us, like, hey, this is just the start. We'll really know. What? He believes that what we've seen so far, which is already worrisome, is just the first step. Russia demanding that Ukraine never be permitted to become a member of NATO alliance. That's a pretty large first step. But Evans adds that their air defense units or fuel convoys, ammunition, the personnel to run all these operations, all of this moving to the border right now, that's Russia slowly taking a second step. He believes there are a few more before we actually see any Russian soldiers moving through Ukrainian land. But he predicts that we'll see military standoff tactics, like cruise missile tests, cyberware attacks, positioning 100,000 troops at the border, perhaps. You know, stuff like that. Number 3, naval attacks. So we've established that on the border with Ukraine, they're stacked on land. That's the concerning part, watching all this slowly unfold. But what can happen to Ukraine ports now? According to Tara Schmoot, Ukrainian military expert in Kiev, the sea is Ukraine's weakest spot. They believe the Russians can do whatever they want in the Black Sea. Russian naval ships have control over the Sea of Azov. The small body of water is where Ukraine's navy is currently outpowered. This would mean that important shipping channels in southeastern city ports could be blocked off by these Russian ships. This play could weaken Ukraine's economy. This is something Andriy Zagornyak, the country's former defense minister, warned us about back in June. Number 2, South operations. So while Ukraine's commercial ports were being smothered, other operations could be launched from Russia, this time in the south to occupy Crimea. Kiev shut down a canal back in 2014, and in doing so, there has been a water supply problem on the peninsula. So if Russia were to build a land bridge between Crimea and the rest of Ukraine, they could work alongside pro-Russian separatists. Number 1, other factors. This potential invasion could be affected by upcoming events, specifically non-geopolitical factors like weather changes or the Winter Olympics per se. Author and journalist Tim Marshall told CNN that if Putin were to invade, it would more than likely happen before spring. The best time to do it is winter because it's going to be a mechanized advance, and the mechanized divisions need hard frozen ground. But that's when Cranny Evans also steps in and reminds us that Russia has quite a long history of just fighting when it suits Russia. You know what I mean? They're not waiting till it's warm to throw left hooks. Doesn't matter. Armored fighting vehicles, particularly tracked ones, have generally very good mobility, even on very soft soil. And it would have to be extremely degraded before they couldn't move on it at all. Ukraine has a pretty good road system as well. End quote.
So starting off this list off, in at number 10, we have the Russian troops attacking Chernobyl. And just like the 1986 disaster 35 years ago, this attack...
You get 10 years.
Fuck the feds.
Bring him in! God damn!
You want me to fuck you up?
Are you crazy?
What do these guys think without me?
Bitch. Fuck the feds. Coop gang.
in 2022 can also set off radiation. There are threats of radiation clouds across Europe. Governments are in fear right now that they believe bombs could destroy nuclear storage facilities, creating a cloud of fallout that could potentially blanket Europe. Back in 1986, 100 casualties were the direct result of the radiation explosion, and it caused $68 billion in damages. With Russia's strong military with over 1 million active personnel and another 2 million reserve militants, this could be the biggest event to have ever happened in Chernobyl. Just 1 week ago, there was reports saying that Russia has an active 150,000 troops right now attacking Ukraine. Just 3 days ago, there was reports stating that Russia might have over 200,000 troops, especially for the residents of Ukraine and for the tens of millions of people who are not able to flee the country. Ukraine has a population of 44 million people. That is a lot of people affected by this war. And it's just so sad to think about all the citizens. I mean, this country is going back decades. Next up, number 8, we have inflation and the economic crisis that's going to happen. I mean, gas prices have already massively gone up. Down here in Canada, they're talking about a $2 per liter gas. Insane. I'm already seeing lineups, jerry cans being filled up with gas, and I'm not talking about the little jerry cans, I'm talking about the big ones. There are pickup trucks, there are trucks that you see.
Pilot's Metabolic Reset Program pairs prescription treatments with ongoing health coaching. Head to pilot.com.au.
You see this gas tank, everyone's filling up because soon, well, they're not going to be able to afford gas. And because of this, I do see electric car sales going up because the demand of non-gas vehicles will be in high demand. And because of that, that's going to drive the prices up of electric vehicles. So yeah, Elon Musk, Tesla, they're going to make a lot of money, but a lot of people aren't even going to be able to afford gas vehicles, and now they're not going to be able to afford electric vehicles. The cost of living is just absolutely insane. Dow Jones is at like an all-time low. I've never seen numbers like this for over a year, since the beginning of last year. Dow Jones just wiped out thousands of dollars. A lot of investors just got wiped. For you who are fans of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the market cap just got wiped at billions of dollars. And this could spark what people are calling the burst of the housing market, the bubble bursting. A lot of people aren't able to afford housing. I mean, they can't afford it already. Could you imagine with inflation and all the prices going up? Everything costing more, imports costing more. I mean, when war happens, you have to be able to afford it. So what happens is the cost of goods go up. Inflation is definitely the silent killer. Number 7, China joining in the war. China joining into the war to help fight alongside Putin. Now, this is scary. So we're talking about one of the most powerful militant forces in the world and the country that has the biggest population. Well, reports suggest that China might be stepping in to buy Russia's gas and oil to limit the impact of financial sanctions that, the rest of the world is putting on Russia. So China's trying to help bail them out. Biden has just laid out very tough sanctions on Russia as the tensions increase. But now with the attack happening right now, Biden is forced to put out even more sanctions. And I'm sure more and more countries, especially those part of NATO, are going to be putting sanctions against Russia, which is going to hurt the economy of Russia. I mean, Russia and China have had rising tensions with the West. So now this brings us to number 6, North Korea. North Korea could be using this opportunity to attack America. North Korea has been threatening America. Kim Jong-un has been testing missiles that could potentially reach California, and there's even some reports suggesting it can reach up to, New York or any place in America within seconds. With America occupying a lot of their resources to, Ukraine right now, there could be weaknesses. This could be an opportunity for North Korea to attack. Ukraine are trying to defend themselves, so this won't be, like that situation that happened in Afghanistan, where there appear to be 0 casualties. The Taliban just came in. I don't even think a shot was fired. America pulled out. This is America's longest war. It went on for decades, and they just pulled out. But in this situation, Ukraine, they are defending themselves. This is an active war on both sides. Shots fired on both sides. Both countries have very strong alliances. More and more countries are becoming involved. Let us know, what country are you guys from? Now, what do you guys think about all the tensions that's happening? Could this be World War III? Number 5, technology. With technology that we have right now, it makes it even more scarier. Russia is a pretty, secretive country. I don't even think they have Google Maps there. You can't view it on Google Maps, like streets or buildings. It's a very secret country. They have been producing hypersonic technology, AI, and anonymous systems. We have been learning about new technology that we've never seen before. And you know what's even scarier is during this war, we might be learning or seeing a lot of these technologies being used. They might be able to wipe out power grids, which is very scary. They were able to take out America's power grid not too long ago. Do you guys remember when that was all? Well, power has become one of the most essential things. Number 4, doubt in America. There are polls in America asking citizens if they should have a major role in what's happening right now in Ukraine versus Russia. Or will the American citizens be blindsided and enter full-out war? This could destroy America's economy, which would have massive effects, domino effects around the world. This could harm NATO. This will test each powerful country in NATO. Each country are watching to see how other countries are going to react. Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the UK, he stated publicly announcing more sanctions against Russia. Prime Minister Boris doesn't believe Putin has a valid reason to be invading Ukraine. I couldn't imagine a civil war in America right now, and this could be like a make or break for Biden. We all know what happened during the Afghan war. A lot of people are doubting that Biden is capable of being their president, especially during this time. And this could be the time where Joe Biden might have to resign. Number 3, we're talking about the unfortunate casualties that happen in war. I can't imagine how many soldiers, innocent bystanders, kids, newborns will lose their lives. If this is considered World War III, well, let's just think about it for a second. World War III is going to be considerably larger than World War II and much bigger than World War I. World War II had 70 to 85 million people who lost their lives. This is, double the population of Ukraine. And already people are calling this the biggest war since World War II. So are we going to get into the millions of people losing their lives? Number 2, cyber war. A modern day Cold War or modern day war, but with, more technology. Online has become the most powerful thing in modern times. And if you can attack cyber infrastructures, you can really control a country, and reports suggest that Russia will continue to attack Ukraine until they have full control. And they will become even stronger, and who knows, maybe they start to target America. This would be a nightmare of a scenario. Once you bring war to the American soil, I think it's safe to say, or safe to call this World War III. And I'm not sure if World War III would ever end. And finally, number 1, the most obvious thing here, the scariest World War III. American leaders involved are Britain.
I mean, it's
Shit.
insane. History is absolutely insane. Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 unsettling events in history that will make you question reality. Let's do it. Kicking off the list at number 10, blindfolded gladiators. Remember that last scene in the movie Dodgeball when Vince Vaughn has to blindfold himself and then he still somehow wins? What a moment in time. No dry eyes in the theater at all. Amazing. But what if I told you gladiators would also pull the same trick off? Yeah, in order to get crowds to return to these massive events back in the day, they would need to change the formula from time to time. They would have cheap beer nights at the Coliseum, which helped, but a new idea that worked was referred to as andabada. And that's when gladiators wore blindfolds during combat. How insane does that sound? Are you kidding me? I'd go and watch, probably. I don't know. They would also leave the armor inside. They would mostly battle in just sandals and cloth. Yeah, and you thought Marco Polo made you anxious? Try again. They would save these events for criminals, I guess, but like, come on. Stealing bread and then fighting a tiger? The Coliseum was a little unfair, gotta admit. Number 9, Elmer McCurdy. This one is insane, I had to throw it in here. Elmer McCurdy, back in 1911, so a bit more recent than the Coliseum days, he decided to be a rootin' tootin' criminal, and he attempted to rob a train. Unbeknownst to him, that train was not full of gold, but rather it was full of passengers. So he collected a whopping $46 instead. Instead of a gold heist, he got $46, which back in the day was still not bad, I'm not gonna lie. Things were going fine until he was shot by a lawman. Now this is when things start to get really insane. Elmer's body was embalmed and then sold by the Undertaker to this traveling carnival. His body was an exhibit almost. And for the next 60 years, his body was passed around as a prop. It was sold between haunted houses, wax museums, that kind of stuff. Check out this guy who tried to do this and blah blah blah. Such as I'm doing now, but I would have his body here. I don't know, people are weird. Eventually, the guy's body, like his real body, don't forget, ended up in California at an amusement park funhouse at Long Beach. Come 1976, there's a crew there filming the movie The $6 Million Man, and that's when Elmer's finger broke off, revealing that it was an actual mummy and not a prop on the set. They went to film The $6 Million Man and ended up finding the $46 man in real life. That is so gross. Imagine that. Some guy with a boom mic's like, Number 8, fake friends. Towards the end of World War I, Paris was tired of seeing, things that they love get blown to smithereens, more than fair. So they figured, let's try and fool the Germans flying overhead. Let's just build a fake Paris. Yeah, a fake Paris. Let's psych them out. They created a decoy, a very large decoy. This life-size stunt double was posted up only a few miles west of the actual city in order to protect it. And it worked. This tiny town called Masons Lafitte, now of course it's looking a lot more full. Now it's like a rich town, not fake buildings, but actual real buildings where rich people live. That's fun. There were 3 different zones set up just in case anything were to drop around the real Paris. Zone A was northeast of the city, had fake train stations and mimicked a suburban region of St. Denis, but it had a big fake Gare du Nord train station. That was the whole pull over there. Zone B, northwest of the city, that was Masons Lafitte, the main fake Paris city I just talked about. And Zone C was the industrial area. So basically it was just east of the city, and they had a massive factory built with literally nothing inside of it. Just a big shell. This sounds a lot like Home Alone, just on a larger scale when you think about it. But with these missions only happening overnight back then, creating a light show with some big props wasn't a bad idea. Lights were carefully spaced out on the ground so it looked like a breathing city from above. Check it out. They Looney Tuned the Germans, and it worked. How amazing is that? Number 7, Mad Jack. During World War II, you needed all the power you could get, but one man, Lieutenant Colonel Jack Churchill, aka Mad Jack, great nickname, he had a different mindset when it came to battle and weaponry. He believed that any British soldier going into battle without a sword was improperly dressed. Also, fun fact about Mad Jack here.
Hey, you! Get over here. Oh, I know what it is.
He represented Great Britain in the World Archery Championships. So not only did he have a sword, but he also went into battle with a longbow. Yeah, like an Avenger. History has acknowledged Mad Jack as the last man to officially take out an enemy in combat by using a longbow, which is pretty cool. But here's the most intimidating part about him. Before combat, Mad Jack would play the bagpipes, right before drawing his sword and then running at you in battle. Can you imagine? That's some Game of Thrones stuff. A dude ripping the bagpipes, dropping it, and then sprinting at you full on with a sword and a longbow? Good game. I would just fold and throw my on the ground. I'd be like, nope, you win. Take it. Take all the land. Number 6. Ball the Burning Man. If you're gonna party like it's 1999, at least do so safely, Back in 1393 in Paris, these knights would put on these fun party performances for the king. They would dress up and pretend that they were wild beasts. They would soak their armor with shrubbery, dry grass, and hay. They would stuff it, anything to make them look like, a hairy beast almost. Which, first of all, great bit, pretty itchy. Honestly,
join.
great commitment. The party was going well, and they planned for this from this room. The king's brother, he was drunk. Maybe he was, at a festival of drunkenness prior. I don't know. He walked in with a torch, and all hell broke loose. He got too close to one of these knights, one of these stuffed knights, and, well, he caught on fire, and yeah, you could probably figure out the
So
rest.
what's your
It was
name?
Bad news. Number 5.
Kirsty.
Coffee Man. This is the worst of the worst right here,
Cool.
halfway. Let's do it. Murad IV,
What's yours?
Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. This guy banned coffee. Yeah, what an absolute monster.
Connor.
He was born in 1612.
Fair
and for the
enough.
most part, his mother
How
was
do you,
ruling through him
Kirsty?
because, he was so young and all. But when he got a little older, he put forth these laws just because he could.
13
and he made
years
these laws
old, what about
punishable
you?
by death, so he wasn't
15.
playing around. Yeah, this guy banned coffee,
Cool.
tobacco, and alcohol. What a party pooper. He would take this so
Do
seriously as well. He would
you
actually
wanna
disguise
go
himself
out,
as a civilian
Kirsty?
at nighttime and
So
then wander
love
around the
you.
streets
Love
aimlessly
you
in hopes that
too.
he would catch one of these dark roast renegades.
You
If
have
you
a
were caught
fat
inside
ass
having
and
a
nice
quick smoke break,
tits,
you weren't
by the
arrested,
way.
you weren't charged or
Thanks,
anything like that, but
baby.
rather Murad
You're
IV
welcome.
himself would just take off your head right there in the streets. No trial, no jury, just straight to execution. How horrible is that? No coffee, could you
Yeah,
imagine getting your
but-
head because you had a coffee? Get out of here. Number 4, Royal Curse. The remains of Polish queens and kings were discovered back in April 1931 in a crypt in Vilnius. Polish researchers didn't even know what they were in for. A storm
Aren't
had
you
flooded a
dicking me?
cathedral in Vilnius, and they
Fair
threw down
enough.
sandbags to preserve the area. God forbid it flooded, obviously. But on the night of April 25th, they had followed the water into this
Yeah,
lost
but-
chamber that held the
You wanna
remains of
fuck up
Polish
my
kings
place
and
or
queens.
your
No one has
place?
found them at any point before.
My
These
place.
remains were still buried with the crown. It was like a
Cool.
whole scene untouched. It was from the 15th century. What a find, right? Sadly, the flood ended up ruining all of these remains, and this is when things start to get a little mysterious. All those involved in these findings began to die in unusual circumstances afterwards. One
My
professor
parents
had
are
died
out
after
on a
falling down lead
vacation.
shaft in his apartment. Another guy
Cool.
died before him as well due
I
to
know.
undisclosed medical issues, but apparently it was sketchy or not supposed to happen. Another professor, years later, who worked in the crypt as well, became paralyzed randomly at 62. A sculptor, also involved, died when untying his shoelace, so a freak accident. And another professor died in 1936, shortly after visiting the crypt again. I hope this isn't an ancient curse, because these guys were legitimately trying to preserve history and avoid the crypt flooding. We need a Ouija board to clear this whole situation up. We need one guy to be like, hey, by the way, just explain everything. Number 3, the Festival of Drunkenness. Wait, is this an actual thing? Hold on. Nowadays we have parties for just about everything. There's a baby on the way, let's party. Baby just came out, let's party. Baby turned 1, now we gotta party at like 11 a.m. We just love celebrating. We'll find excuses to celebrate. Well, the Festival of Drunkenness in Egypt back in the 15th century they got right to the point. Just drink your faces off. That's it. This religious event, and yeah, you heard me, religious event, was to celebrate the Egyptian sun god Ra. And the story goes as such. Ra stopped the end of the world, way back in the day, when Hathor was planning on devouring all of life. So Ra successfully thwarted their plan by getting them drunk off 7,000...
Let's pause it, let's skip school. Head to your crib, baby. Done. Let's get out my guac. Let's go find here. Yo, shit. Give me that. You're in Jack's bitch now. Get out. Come on. Got it. I'm in. Get out. Get out. I'm in. Good. Let's head to your crib now. Done. Shit. Fuck. Turn. Keep going this way. Fair enough. Keep going. Keep going. Down here. This house here. God damn you, of course, the school. I know. Put away my guac. Right, let's head in. This is the place here. God damn. It's a mess. I know. This is the lounge room. God damn. Kitchen. Dinner table. God. My room here. Where does your parents sleep? On the ground. I get to have a bed where they sleep on the ground. Crap. I know. Then out here we have the back area. Not much. Yeah. But hey, it's a house. I know. Let's chill out in the front. Smoke and yeah. Done. Cool. Chill here. Push play.
That's a lot of IPAs, oh my. The beer was dyed red to look like blood. Hashtag pranked ya. So now the god was so drunk that it couldn't, devour everybody. So ancient Egyptians would honor this, again, religious event by getting absolutely plastered. If you didn't pass out, that was considered offensive, like not burping after a meal. Also, drink responsibly. Number 2, Caesar and Caligula. Running the clock back to 12 CE, Gaius Caesar, aka Caligula, aka the Roman emperor at the time, apparently he was close with his horse. I had 2 dogs growing up. I would rather die for those little piggies, okay? I get it. I'm an animal lover myself. And if I had the money, yeah, I would probably make them a house, just for them to run around with and all that jazz. Well, he gave his horse a marble stall, and it got to the point where they were so close, Caligula was about to appoint the horse to high office of council, but he was taken out. Imagine if he had lived and this happened, what would those meetings look like? What would they smell like, rather? I don't want to know. Let's move on. And finally, coming in number 1, Adrian Carton de Wyatt. Over the course of 6 decades and 4 wars, Lieutenant General Adrian Carton de Wyatt survived the impossible multiple times. He's considered one of the most dedicated soldiers of all time because, well, for starters, after he lost his left hand and his left eye, Adrian did not retire. In fact, the British Army officer went on to experience 10 more horrible injuries. As World War I broke out in November 1914, Carton was serving and he was opposing the forces of the Dervish state. In doing so, he was shot in the arm and face, that's how he lost his left eye. But a grim detail shared by Lord Ismay, who served alongside the soldier, said in 1964 that the doctor at the time couldn't do anything, not a single thing, about his eye. So he must have been in pure agony the entire time. Literally, he must have been just the worst pain. Lord Ismay continues to believe that losing his eye was actually a blessing in disguise, because the incident allowed for Adrian to relocate to Europe, where even more action was waiting for him. Once stationed in Europe, Adrian received wounds to the head, hand, stomach, groin, leg, ankle, all by bullets, all a bad time. And if that's not inspiring enough, he survived numerous plane crashes and a broken back afterwards. If you feel like reading more incredible details about the soldier and the diplomat, there's a book on his whole life, and yeah, it's more interesting than I just made it sound. Guys, those are the top 10 unsettling events in history that will make you question suits, because we're diving in deep. Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 bizarre underwater photos captured by submarines. Kicking off the list at number 10, Lost Treasure. Alright, listen up, you buccaneers. There have been so many shipwrecks all throughout history that right now, at this moment, there's about $60 billion worth of sunken treasure just waiting. Just out there waiting for you. Put on your goggles and explore. Deep sea exploration teams have found a few recently. That's exciting. Back in 2012, we discovered the Port Nicholson, which was a World War II British merchant ship that sunk with 70 tons of platinum ingots. So many ingots. Ingots? Gots? Ingots. All the ingots or gits. That's over $3 billion worth of treasure. Not too shabby. Shortly after that, shipwreck hunters found the remains of HMS Victory, ironic name, which sank back in 1744 with $1 billion worth of gold. It's not just finders keepers though, as lovely as that sounds, this is not national treasure. Treasure belongs to people. Before and after the commute. When an American company recovered $500 million in gold and silver from a ship in Spain that went down back in 1804, they lost the rights to their treasure. They lost the rights to the treasure they found. That is so... Can you imagine that? Guys were rich. Just kidding. The Senora de la Mercedes was a Spanish ship that sunk back in 1804. It was loaded with gold, silver, and spices. All the good stuff. It was found at the bottom of the Atlantic back in 2007. And these finders thought that they had $500 million. We're rich, and we can maybe pay off our student loans with this money. Who knows? They were rich until the Spanish government sued the exploration team in 2012 to take all that treasure right back. All of this treasure. Not theirs anymore. Number 9. Magnificent Alien. How don't I talk about this little panic mode, a new sea sponge was discovered in 2020, named Advena magnifica, which translates to magnificent alien. Literally, this thing's a little alien by himself. This sponge
Can you
literally
get
gets its
men
name
shop me?
because it looks like E.T. And to be fair,
So,
yeah,
can I
it
bust
looks like
another
E.T.
you?
Little phone home looking.
So,
An
baby.
ROV found this sample over researcher who found this deep sea squishy explains the discovery in an NOAA interview, saying, as all of these organisms are intricately connected, by documenting and describing marine biodiversity, we are building a better understanding of life and the impact of humans on Earth, and in this case, in the ocean. End quote. So guys, the key to humanity's survival. I feel it. You can see it in his eyes, really. He's confident. Number 8, underneath Thwaites Glacier. We've seen some fascinating stuff here on Most Amazing Top 10, specifically underwater footage. Can't get enough of it. We love exploring the deep, as do you, hence why you're here. Hi, welcome
How
back. Thank you.
far
Hit
do
that
you
thumbs up.
like
This
it
next
to
one,
go?
I honestly couldn't
no,
believe. It's
I
actual footage from the
Cool.
bottom of an Antarctic glacier. This glacier, though, is the size of Florida. So if it collapses, our sea levels could rise. And well, look at him go. Not too fast, not too slow, but just he's on his own pace. He's doing his own thing. Number 6. Not treasure. We kicked this list off with some deep sea treasure. It's always fun, you know, until it gets reclaimed and your year's worth of exploring goes to waste. But many deep sea ROV trips are not ideal. They're not fun. We don't always find a mammoth tusk or a glow-in-the-dark shark. Sometimes we find barrels of waste. This dump site here was discovered off the coast of LA, 3,000 feet deep. These ROVs found around 27,000 barrels of waste. Yeah, you thought I was going to say 27. That's pretty bad. Add thousands. The 2021 discovery was deemed staggering. Yep, I'd say so. You can literally see in these photos this aura of toxic waste like emitting from it. I don't see any ET sponges here. This is a graveyard. This is no good. ET wants nothing to do with this. Number 5. Hydromedusae. Sounds like a spell. Sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Another crazy deep sea alien fish. Here we go. Let's do it. Never swimming again after this list. During a robotic exploration of the Marianas Trench in 2016, which is a pretty good place to get some deep sea fishies, researchers found a new unidentified species of jellyfish. How fun is that? We mentioned the immortal jellyfish on here before. That's always a good time. The jellyfish that Benjamin Buttons it. He ages backwards. That's cool. This is another crazy one, just a lot deeper. At first, it had its tentacles spread out as if it was ready to, catch some prey or some human or some ship. I don't know. It's ready for something. The tentacles act as a net, catch prey, which is interesting. A fish that fishes with a net. How lovely is that? Also super alien. He was found near the Enigma seamount at a depth of 3,700 meters. Hydromedusae jellyfish has a translucent bell, which is the most intriguing part when you look at it. Oh, also its insides are glowing red and yellow. So yeah, did I mention alien possibly? Because maybe. Number 4, deep sea hermit crab. The deep sea hermit crab. Do I have to talk about it? I guess I have to talk about it. Instead of carrying around empty gastropod shells like a hermit crab normally does, the hermit crab we imagine when hearing their name, these deep sea hermit crabs carry around sea anemones with them. Yeah, they just walk on stilts. Look at these dudes. I'm sorry, deep sea crabs on stilts. I'm all set. This almost was number 1. This is almost worse than a spider. Let's pray he stays in the deepest depths of the Atlantic. Number 3, deep sea pigs. It's not what you think. Don't worry. It's not horrible. These guys are a genus of sea cucumber, but they have these little tube-like legs, and they look really cute, which is why I have to include them. Cute, also a little bit weird. These ones look weirder than normal sea cucumbers, which is an odd statement to make, but I'll stand by it. They like to live on the seafloor where they move through the sediment searching for their next meal, and they eat by extracting tiny little particles of organic matter that have fallen from the surface of the ocean. So they're just there, just waiting for scraps, just looking around. How sad is that? So hungry. Sea pigs measure around 4 to 6 inches long, so yeah, they're pretty cute. They're tiny guys. I'll admit it, they're cute. And they live at a depth of somewhere between 1,200 to 5,000 meters deep, so don't worry about any of these little piggies touching any of your little piggies when next time you take a dip, because they're quite deep. Small but mighty, their skin carries a natural poison, which would make them a horrible midnight snack, as squishy as they look. When brought up closer to the surface, they literally disintegrate, so don't try it if you see one. It's like the video of the raccoon where he tries to wash cotton candy. He puts it in and disappears. He's like... Number 2, the deepest plastic. We're almost done here, so we'll do a sad one for our second last spot here. Why not? Back in 2019, Victor Vescavo took a dive into the Challenger Deep, which is the deepest part of the Marianas Trench, and he found absolutely the scariest thing to ever see in the ocean. A plastic bag. Yeah, you don't want any of this in the ocean, for sure. Some guy brought some spaghetti home for the family, tossed the bag out, now it's all the way down here, and he has no idea. Awesome. I will say Victor broke the record for deepest dive, which of course is amazing for, science, research, and advancements, and all that jazz. Mangolver's honestly more of a, I could definitely see that. The sea devils have quite the smile, but they don't often get a chance to show it, being that deep and all and in the darkness. Finding prey that deep below the surface is quite the task. The ocean life is also quite sparse when it comes to meals of your choosing. Like I said, some of these guys have to just rely on just particles falling into their mouths. This is why it's often referred to as the fish that fishes. And it's all thanks to that little disco ball of death right here on the forehead. Female anglerfish have a glowing lure on the top of their head, and it's awesome, it's beautiful. This light is created due to bioluminescent bacteria. Thousands of fish have it, and the deep sea anglerfish uses it to hunt. It draws fish in right in front of its massive mouth, and then they see the light, and then moments later, bam, they see another light, the light of the fish gods. R.I.P. Rest in Pacific. Not bad. Those are the top 10 bizarre underwater photos captured by submarines. If you want a part 2, which I feel like you do, comment down below. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and I'll see you next time on Most Amazing Top 10. Bye.
What should I watch now?
Sweet scene from a distant forest. Fair cavity's generous.
What should I watch now? What should I fucking watch? Let's watch this.
Today we will be looking at some beautiful yet mysterious places in this world that are off limits to tourists. So if you have them on your bucket list, maybe cross them off, as there's no way you'll be able to visit these places. Starting off this countdown, we have the Coca-Cola Vault. Located in Atlanta in a secure locked vault is the Coca-Cola secret recipe. Ravioli, ravioli, give me that formioli, am I right? The recipe for Coca-Cola is said to be one of the best kept secrets in the world. Apparently only 2 employees know the formula and have access to it. In 1920, the recipe was under lock and key at a New York bank. Then in 1925, it was transferred to the trust company in Atlanta. Then in 2011, they decided to move it into a vault, into a museum in Atlanta. The museum garners hundreds of thousands of tourists each year, but they're never allowed through the doors of the vault. Only a select few exclusive Coca-Cola workers are allowed in this vault. I feel like we should make a National Treasure 3 in which Nicolas Cage tries to steal the Coca-Cola recipe from the vault. Who's with me? It'd be fun. In our 9th spot today, we have the Whites Club. Now, this is an exclusive club in the UK. It was founded in 1693, and only a select few are allowed entry into this club. You know who can't go in? Women. This club is completely off limits to women. The only woman who was ever allowed to go in there was Queen Elizabeth. Now, members of this club include political leaders, senior bankers, and even heirs to the British throne. Now, what goes on in there? No one knows for sure. Only a couple of people have managed to sneak inside. In our 8th spot today, we have Heart Reef. Now, this is a very popular tourist attraction part of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. People loved it because it was a reef shaped as a heart. But unfortunately, people have been banned from going there, including divers and snorkelers. And that's because the reef is at risk. So in order to protect its ecosystem, they don't allow anyone to go there. But if you do want to see the reef and get a good photo of it, they offer helicopter rides above. In our 7th spot, we have the